Hey there, commercial construction coffee talk fans. Thanks for chiming in. My name's David Corson. I'm your host. I'm also the publisher and editor of Commercial Construction and Renovation Magazine. Well, I got a little halo there, but this is what it used to look like. This is an archive, December 2020. Deborah Delaney, Vice President of Construction at Mark Sport Check out of Canada. This was a great looking issue, 148 pages. And what was I doing? Oh, I got some dogs there. You can see my pack. And the big one, he passed last year, Gulliver, but he was a good old boy. And we call him Gulliver because we tried to get him into like a bunch of homes. And every time he went in there, he destroyed the houses. He was like Gulliver Travels. We could never get him placed, so we decided we'd just keep him. But those are the rest of the packs there. And uh, the little one on the right, his name is Rascal. Someone threw him in a manhole and beat him up, and he was on his deathbed. And I never had a little dog, and I brought him back to life. And I said, "Oh, you know what? I'm keeping that dog." And that dog is my buddy. We don't even know how old he is. He's probably like 14 or 15, but he'll take on a Doberman, a Rottweiler. He's just one tough son of a gun. We call him Chief, even though he's the smallest out of them all. But that's what I was doing back then. It's always nice to see what was going on, and we stopped printing the magazine in August of 2021. That was the last issue we printed. We're 100% digital. We still do a print-on-demand service, and but it's been an amazing transformation. Had just under 7 million people hit the website last month, 330,000 unique users, and I don't know what the number is we're going to end up with this year, but it's just been an amazing ride. We've been on fire for the past 8 to 10 months, and it's just been amazing. So for all you out there that find us on the web, consuming our content, we really appreciate it. And you're all gold in my eyes. We couldn't have done this out. And listen, we made the transition from print face to face to digital. And it was dicey, very scary after being a publisher for 20 some odd years, print. But don't miss the printer, don't miss the post office, don't miss any of that kind of stuff. And digital is just the way to go. It's just so much easier, and you can flip things around, and it's just if you don't have a footprint on the web, you got to get one in 2024, before the year ends. And because there's 8 billion people on the planet, and they're all on the web, and they're all going to buy something from you. Why don't they purchase it from you? If they're going to consume content, consume it from me. So, like I said, it's just been an amazing ride, and I learned something new every day, and definitely never a dull moment on the digital front on the wild, wild web. So today, really nice, in the mid 80s, low 90s. It's been really nice. It rained for a couple of weeks, and now it's nice again. We're in that dry area, and I'm working on my empty nester house. I just got my walls poured yesterday, and I'm past inspection, and now I'm getting into the main foundation next week. Just emailed my concrete guy before I got on this episode, uh, and I was just, saying, hey, where are we? I haven't been up to the lot. I go up there every day and see what's going on. But hopefully by the end of next week, that slab foundation will be finished, and we'll get in the sticks and frame. And by the end of September, that house will be up, dry, wrap, windows, roof, and then my wife's crew will come in and really start cranking that house out. But it's been an amazing journey, and I swear, I do so many things during the day. I empty the trash. I play publisher. I play editor. I play salesperson. I play dog walker. I cut the grass. I put my construction hat up every day. I go up on the site. Last night I was the HOA got on my back because they were like, "Oh, you got to keep your lawn. You got to keep the sidewalks trimmed." And I didn't even realize it. I'm just looking at the, stuff that they were doing, clearing and stuff. I was like, darn, man, there's some weeds up here. I got to do some trimming. So I was up there for 2 hours last night. I told my wife, like, it'll take me 45 minutes. I took the lawnmower up there and the weed eater. And I'm like, oh man, all along the silt fence, there was weeds. But I'll tell you, if they came up there today, they're like, wow, who was up here last night, man? It was like a cleaning crew came in. You're looking at it. So, uh, anyway, but it's been really, really fun, and learn something new every day. I'm putting a residential column in my next issue, and talking about we're going to feature a residential luxury project in a different city for each month as I do my build, and then I'm going to do my little take on what did I learn this month. And the first take is going to be permitting and municipalities having better collaboration, to make the process go much, much smoother. That's what I kind of knew that anyway, but since I lived it and I had to go to a revision process with the plans and my septic tank and all that other stuff, and there's all these different rules when you're up on building up on with the lake and the DNR, that's the Department of Natural Resources. Anyway, it's been a learning experience, but I'm going to take my take. What did I learn this month? So it's going to be fun. And I know a lot of you have been watching I put stuff on TikTok and Facebook and all that stuff. And people are like, hey, wow, that's really cool. Nothing like, learning on the fly. I'm like, yep, I ask a lot of questions. I'm driving my subs crazy because I'm like, hey, why are you doing that? Well, why is the rebar that size? And so it's been great. And can't wait to get the house dry and crank that thing out. And I think we're going to build that house in, about 5 months, now that this foundation, the clearing and all that's gone. So very, very exciting, but we're going to enjoy the hot weather. And, school's been in session now for about 3 weeks here in Georgia and got Labor Day weekend coming up and last month of Q3 and then Q4 and December's going to be here before you know it. And we're going to be ringing in 2025. So I can't believe I'm even saying that because January 1st felt like it was just yesterday. So with that said, got a great episode today. A nice lady. Her name is Rocio Luna, right? Did I pronounce that correct? And she's with Insurax and she's out in SoCal. Rocio, say hello to our listeners out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk.
Hi everyone, I'm Rocio Luna from Southern California, and I'm excited to be on David's podcast. And as you were speaking, David, I'm just like nodding my head with everything you're saying. I also want to laugh at some of the comments you were saying. And oh my God, your dog, your rascal. Oh, that touched my heart. That story. I'm like, oh, that little
Yeah.
buddy is tough.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You know what's crazy is that we always had big dogs. I never had little dogs. And my wife brought him home and someone beat the heck out of him, threw him in a manhole. They found him. Anyway, my wife's she works with Angels Among Us. They're one of the dog rescuers here in Atlanta.
Hmm.
Anyway, he brought him home, and I remember that night about 3 o'clock in the morning. She's like, "Oh my God, I think he passed." And I went in and I poked him, like, "Oh no, he's still breathing." And anyway, so we brought him back to life, and then my wife's like, "Hey, we need to get him adopted." I'm like, "I don't think so. I'm keeping that dog. I have a little bed for him, and he has an attitude, and he's only like this big, and he doesn't pee or poop in the house. He's, so, but someone didn't like him. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it was his little yapper got him crazy, but listen, you don't need to do that to an animal. I mean, look, you could punt that dog across a football field. He's a little thing. He's not doing anything, but uh, we did bring him back to life, and I just said, we're going to keep them. And we went from big dogs, now we're in the little dogs, and we have a nice little pack, and it's been fun. But I appreciate the comment on Rascal. We call him Chief because he's the big he's the old man in the house. So uh, anyway, Rose here, this is how we're going to work it. We're going to do our interview in 3 parts. You're going to tell your story, where you grew up, where you went to school, and how you ended up at where you are today. Then we'll talk about lessons learned over the last 3 to 4 years of the roller coaster that we've all been on, and any new products or services that our listeners out there on Commercial Construction Coffee Talk might find of interest. And then you'll leave your contact info and one positive thought or phrase. So with that said, the floor is yours. Tell us your story.
All right, thank you, David. So my story, I've lived in California for 31 years. My birthday was just last week.
Happy birthday.
And thank you. And I've been in California my whole life. Grew up in Orange County. So it's a southern part, Orange County. And I ended up in insurance right after college. So brand new graduate, went into college. And, prior to that, actually in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just did, the same thing as any normal college student does. You just go, I went to college just to grab my degree, my bachelor's degree. And I remember applying at several different entry level locations. It was sales entry, entry everything. And it just so happened that this insurance agency needed a claims assistant. They needed a bilingual claims assistant to be specific. And it just, I needed a job, and that insurance agency really needed someone bilingual on the spot. So they're like, hey, if we give you the job, can you start tomorrow? And I remember saying, yes, I absolutely can. Because, I'm broke. I'm fresh out of college. I need some money in my bank. And I remember sitting on the cross and I was like, what is it exactly that I'm going to be doing? They're like, oh, you'll be managing workers' comp claims. I didn't even know there was such thing as workers' comp insurance. I was 22 years old. All I knew is that I had auto insurance, personal insurance, but I never really knew the details of it. And to be honest, David, it was really scary looking at workers' comp. I mean, remember the first month, the first 3 months, I was really freaked out looking at auto lawsuits, especially in California, because in California is super like it's known, such as New York and California, they both have the same workers' comp system. And unfortunately, a lot of employers get hit with workers' comp claims, either being true or not true. There's a lot of litigation and a lot of marketing from the attorneys. Anyhow, I was very intimidated by all the lawsuits, the words, the verbiage, the insurance. And I just remember leaning on Google. So I didn't have no trainer, there was no courses, there was nothing. So I would just go on Google and I would say, what is a qualified medical examiner, a QME? What is this? What's this? And along the way I started to, piece the information together. And next thing you know, I end up growing a huge passion for helping out employers with their workers' comp needs. And from there, I started to develop my own risk management program, in which I ended up falling 6 years down the path into construction. Because as you know, construction, there's so many things moving. You have commercial and you have residential. And in both parts, there's a lot of project management that is needed. And there's so many things that are moving and it's quick, especially in construction, especially in commercial construction, because it's all they really care about when it's the project's getting done. They want it done quick, fast, and we need men. So when all that speed's going on, a lot of things tend to fall apart and people get into accidents. So I started to notice like, okay, there's certain procedures that contractors need in order to excel and not bleed out in insurance or in workers' comp claims. So there's, policies and procedures that you need. You need to make sure that you have an assignment and that your employees know where to go when they get into when they have an injury. And on top of that, besides the workers' comp incidents, you also have property and general liability. So you might have, someone might make a mistake and now your project is slowing down because there was a default, there was some error or there's some scheduling error. So there's a lot of moving components in that. And I managed workers' complaints for about 6 years. And then in 2019, I decided, no, yeah, 2020, 2021, I decided to move from the claims department to the sales. And from there, I really used my workers' comp claims experience to develop my book of business into sales because I knew the whole background of what it took and what policies and procedures need to be in place in order to handle those workers' comp claims.
What was your bachelor's degree in? Was it in accounting or what was it?
No, psychology.
Well, there you go. I mean, listen, I was an econ political science major, but I was really a hockey lacrosse player. I mean, but when I look back, little things that I took, just like right now, I had to get workers' comp. I had to get a risk liability,
Hmm.
for the construction loan. They needed all this stuff. And a lot of stuff I knew. My wife, we have a federal contracting company too. And but we'd never done a self-build, a build up. She has a lot of, residential bathrooms, basements, that kind of stuff. I said, look, we need this build. So as we were going through it, the construction loan, hey, we see you have your, your insurance, but you need to have risk liability. You need to have your workers' comp up. And we also need a rider on the GC who pulled your permits and this and that. And, the biggest thing was no one's getting on the lot if they don't have coverage, period. And we also have a little lien thing that the loan at the construction loan people we make all of the vendors sign that he's off the hook. You can't if anything goes wrong, you can sue me, but you're not going to sue him. He's off the hook. And some of these guys are like, hey, I've never really seen one. It's like, it's not a big deal. You're going to get paid, but I can't pay until this thing's forwarded because at the end they do the audit and they're going to look for all this paperwork. And I want to make sure everything is, all the I's and T's are crossed and dotted and there's no issues. And so, uh, and listen, if we like doing the builds, my wife would probably go get her a license here in Georgia and start doing some self builds and that kind of stuff. So it's all been a learning. The biggest thing, that I take from just in general with contracts, especially when you get into construction, because people do get hurt, is that
Mhm.
I wish the attorneys would just speak to me or write uh, contracts that are readable by a 2-year-old or a second grader because there's just too much word salad in there. And I just wish it would just be straightforward. Hey, this is what it is. This is what happens. This is what needs to be done. And it's a waste of paper, in my opinion. Now I'm digital. I don't use that much paper because believe me, I've used plenty of paper over the years when I was printing the magazine. But that's my biggest beef with uh, just in general, there's just too many of the attorneys have their hands in there and they just make things so complicated when they don't need to be, because the number one thing is you want your workers to be safe. And if they do get hurt, you want them to be able to get fixed and have the coverage needed to get it done and not take years and years and years and get into litigation and then that opens up a whole nother ball of wax. Am I right or am I wrong there?
You are 100% right. I mean, you talk about the salad wording. I mean, insurance contracts, how long, those policies are like 50 plus pages, and it's written for an attorney. It's not written for your average person. It's not written for even a consultant. It's written for attorneys. And even then, the attorneys fight with the insurance companies. I could tell you that firsthand because I've helped out hundreds of clients with general liability claims. And in going on that aspect, I'm sure you dealt with certificate of insurance. You know how many times you had to add an additional insured, how many times you had to double check if your subcontractor has the proper insurance requirements, which is huge. That's huge here in California and in every state. In your subcontractor, you want to make sure that they have insurance. You would think that people are hire subcontractors that only have insurance. That's wrong. I'm still surprised on the amount of claims I see where the subcontractor did not carry insurance. And now the person who hired him is now responsible for their mistakes.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, when we even on any of my wife's builds, or like I said, we're federal contractors in the SAM registry, and I mean, look, we're not building $30 billion atomic nuclear plants. We're just doing little jobs, getting in and out, and uh, but we don't let anybody come on the construction site without coverage. We put it in the box or put it in our folder, and the you're just flirting with danger. The biggest thing, like in here, there's I don't know how many counties there are in Georgia. There's about 150, 158, I think. Maybe it's 59, I forget. Anyway, every county's different.
Mhm.
This county, for mechanical, plumbing, electrical, you got to show your business license. You got to prove your insurance with the county, or they won't give you your permit. Just for those three. Now, there's flooring, there's all this other stuff that you know they want it. But like I said, no one comes onto our site without proof. We put it in the file. It's up there in case the county comes in and looks at it and wants to look in the box. And we want everybody covered. I mean, if you don't have your coverage, you're not going to work today. You're going to slow the project down. So make sure that when you come here, you bring your proof because I'm going to put it in the folder, and then you can come on the property and get things done. But yeah, I've had like risk. I've had surety bondsmen over the years but the biggest thing and that I have this discussion about is I just wish that the attorneys could make it so much simpler because a lot of people don't like reading all that stuff and they
Mhm.
don't understand it. And you really want to make sure as the GC that you're covered and that your subs are going to be covered and that you run a safe construction site. People are going to get hurt. That's just reality. It's construction. Stuff is going to happen. I mean, just like last night when I went up there and, was doing the weed eater and going by the silt fence and I was looking, I didn't even think about it until the HOA said, "Hey, Mr. Corson, you need to, we know you were keeping your lot clear for the last 4 years, but you need to get stuff." So when I saw my neighbor, I was like, "Oh my God, there's weeds there." So like I said, today, probably someone went up there and like, "Wow, it's clean." But last night when I was up there, uh, I just saw some stuff. I told my wife, "Look, now that the concrete, we got to get the dumpster up there because we just want to keep it really, really clean." And there's some rebar that was hanging in there in the swamp pile. They've got, like they've kept it clean, the foundation guys. But uh, bottom line is anybody could stand, step on something, slip, whatever. Just want to make it as safe as possible and clean. I don't want to call it a surgical center, but we want it to be clean. And then one of our neighbors said, "Oh yeah, there were, I saw David left and a couple people, they were on your lot last night looking around." Do I want those people on there? No, because it's a construction site. But look, our subdivision has 52 homes. We saw them all get built. There's only three left, us and two other people that have just broke ground to finish up. But we walked through all those homes. But, in case someone, got hurt, maybe, on our property or whatever, and even though that they were trespassing, yeah, it's just dicey, and you see all these ambulance chaser attorneys on, we have the strong arm here in John Boyd. And there's another guy on here, Madison. Well, I don't know. I know them all, man. I see them everywhere. I don't want to deal with any of those guys. And I don't want to deal with anybody illegal if I don't need to. I mean, just like my attorney, I don't want to talk to him if I don't need to because I know the meter's running. So when he calls,
Yep.
hopefully it's Merry Christmas and thank you I didn't talk to you this year. So, but yeah, it's crazy though because a lot of people don't carry it, and it's a shame because you could be, if something really happens, you can get in big trouble, and it's better to have it than not have it, and be prepared. So um, let's talk about the last 3 to 4 years. Uh, March 2020, everything's cruising along. Boom, everything stops, be a couple weeks, couple months. Here we are 4 years later. We're still talking about it. We're out of the tunnel. There's some pitfalls, some hindrances, some product. You got inflation, all this stuff. You got the election coming up. Who knows what's going to happen there? I don't have, I can't even worry about it because I can't control it. So, but there's a lot of unknowns that are going to happen, just like you don't know when, a construction worker might get, injured on the site. And talk about how you weathered the storm and your clients did, through the last couple of years and as we go into the remainder of 2024 and into 2025.
Yeah. So it was a scary time for everyone. And I'm going to be really broad on this because I had clients during 2020 that were restaurants, manufacturers, and I feel like those specific industries were affected more because at least in California, construction was still ongoing. It was open. And unfortunately for restaurants, I mean, it's so sad here in restaurants in California. They actually just increased the minimum wage to $20 an hour over
Yeah.
here. And that was not what the case was, back in 2020. So there was a lot of, restaurants closing down, manufacturers too. But on that sense, during those times, a lot of employers did tighten up their pockets, because they didn't know what to expect. So they were definitely more risk adverse, not taking too many jobs on. They wanted to see, okay, well, how can I keep afloat? I did definitely see that. And I definitely did see an uptick in technology. So I feel like, 2020 it had both its ups and downs, but for the contractors and for everybody that stayed up, I did see an uptick in technology. Like, hey, okay, I might not have the availability to go to the post office and do all these ads, but now I'm going to start using social media, or we're going to start integrating, start getting on social media, start doing podcasts, start talking about how. And I also saw an uptick in community, so getting groups together, saying, okay, because I'm not the only one facing these issues. I'm not the only entrepreneur, contractor where I'm having to let go of people, or I'm struggling with finances. I have too much debt on me. I've, too many things going on. I did see there's a reinforcement of community. So definitely I saw that there was okay, the associations definitely did get stronger. I would definitely say yes, and that was a really good fit for them. Um, and the growth of that trying to move forward. Now with inflation and with um the amount of loans that went out and the money surplus, I think things are so expensive. I definitely see it on my contract. But you mean I talk to any contractor says this piece of equipment back in 2020 was not that. Now, interest rates, I think that's the problem we're facing right now. Interest rates, like there's no way I'm gonna buy this piece of equipment. I'm gonna have to like lease it. I'm just leasing things. I'm not buying anything. Like I'm sure you could, vouch on that with equipment.
Oh yeah. Listen, my grader, it's a father and son team that cleared our lot. They own all their equipment. They were lucky, but still diesel. They had to put the 10% fuel charge on my grading bill. And lumber's come down, which has been a plus. But it's a double-edged sword because there aren't as many homes being built, so they're overstocked on lumber. So they got to get rid of that inventory. So I'm going to take advantage of it, but I would rather see more people busy. And so with the economy, inflation, and product shortages, and you add everything else up there, it's rough. And right now there's a lot of I don't watch the news. I just don't. I don't have time to do it. I can't control it. But at night I'll flip through. I'll see what I'm a YouTuber. I'm a content creator, so that's where I live. And I've got certain people that I listen to. I don't go down the rabbit holes. I do my own research if I want to find stuff. But the biggest thing sitting here today, August 22nd, 2024 in the afternoon in hot Atlanta in the LA of the South, is that a lot of my clients are doing very, very well, but they're not nervous, they're anxious because the election's coming up in a couple of months and we don't know who's going to win, if there even is going to be an election. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's just crazy. There's so much. I don't know. That's why I said I used to listen to. I don't even do it anymore. I just kind of go to my sources and then take that with a grain of salt and see what happens. But a lot of my clients from March of 2020 till today had some of the best years. Um, and if they had more project managers or superintendents, they probably could have bid off more. Now, some of the end users, uh, they're rescaling downward, probably their profits or some of the projects that they had, they're pushing them, past the election or into 2025. And, maybe a project that you bid back in 2020 now it came on here, but with inflation and everything else, you have to redo the quote. And, it's affected all that efficiency. But depending on what state you were in back then, it really determined, what the regulations were. I mean, I was in Georgia. We really never shut down, but if you went up, up north, the regulations were just absolutely ridiculous. And
Yeah, I mean, poor California and New York, we like
oh yeah,
felt
you
the
guys
whole
got
shut down.
hammered. Oh
Oh
yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
it's
no,
horrible.
I get it. Listen, when you said California, I was like, listen, I have my bud, he's the Southern California, his name is Josh Teipel, is that his last name? Anyway, I had him on my podcast and he was talking about all of his restaurateurs that went out of business. And
Hmm.
it was so sad. And now they just raised the raise out there, the minimum wage, and all the McDonald's pulled out of California. In-N-Out's going to move out. You just or the robots are going to take over, and it's a shame. And the politicians, they don't realize because they never ran a business. They don't
Hmm.
understand that you just can't raise that because and here's the thing, for those of you who don't understand, inflation is cumulative. Okay. It's not just a yearly thing. So when the government says, oh, it's only 3 or 4%, it's not. It's like 40 or 50% because it's been cumulative. When we went on the gold off the gold standard in the 70s, and believe me, I was born in 63, so I remember the oil embargo, line shortages, all that stuff. But that's where you measure it from. So it's not just this year. And And right when the shutdown happened in March of 20, so the first thing I did, I redid my deck. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. I wasn't doing any events. I didn't know if I was going to print my magazine. I was going to go to digital. And I remember I got my lumber. If I didn't buy that lumber at that point to do my deck a month later, it would have been like 4 times the price. And
Wow.
oh yeah, just because of capacity and then shortages. And so uh when you look at it, inflation really is, it's like an added tax. That's what it really is. And it can kill your budget. And just right now, right before we got on, I was talking to my Concord guy, like we were putting in a basement, and after we cleared the land, you can look at blueprints and CAD drawings all day long, but until you actually look at it. And I went out there, I met with the inspectors, they were going over my inspections, what it would need, and then my grader was like, hey, you should watch what I'm doing here. So he's spraying the little, on the dirt. And I said, what is it? He goes, that's the bottom of your basement. I go, aren't you going to dig anymore? He goes, no, we got to bring in hundreds of loads of dirt. I told you, but you're looking at like 300 loads of dirt to get it up to build the house up. Plus your driveway is really, really sloped and it looks like a roller coaster. So I called my wife up. I said, Houston, we got a problem. You got to get up here and look at this. So she came up and we're talking, and he said, you know what? You really should build the basement off. Your house is going to be so high, it's going to be obnoxious. Your slope. And I said, this is supposed to be my empty nester house. I already had a trophy house. I got rid of that in 2021. I didn't need it. It's just me and her and the dogs. And so when we looked at it, we had to get the revisions done. But now I'm so glad that I got rid of it because it was 2,200 square feet of basement that we were going to put in there. I can do that on another project. And when you look at it, it's not just the basement. It's the concrete in the walls. It's the drywall. It's the electrical. It's the paint. We were putting a kitchen. It was for my mother. She's 85. And so I called her up. I said, look, you were going to have to go downstairs with the basement or, in the house. We still have plenty of room. Are you going to be, if you're alive in 10 years, 95, are you going to be cooking? I hope so, because you're still an awesome cook. Nothing like mom's, home scratch meals.
That's
But,
right.
but if not, I'm not going to put it in there. We're just, you can use the kitchen that's in here, and my sister can move down. We still have plenty of room. And but that's the real deal. If that things are going to happen on the construction, whether it's an injury or something happens, so you just have to figure it out. And I told my wife, I go, look, this happens every day. There's a little give and take. We'll get rid of the basement. We'll go back to the county. We'll get our revisions. They said about 2 weeks. It took about a month. And then we had 2 weeks of rain, and then now we've been, kept playing catch up on our schedule. But it's been Mother Nature's cooperated with us, and we've gotten a lot done over the last, several weeks, and made a huge, huge dent in the time that we lost. But inflation's really, really a really tough nut for a lot of people to comprehend. And it's uh it's just crazy, and it's so expensive. And I feel terrible for a lot of, like, the franchisees that if you had a McDonald's franchise out in
Yeah.
California or whatever it might be, and they're all gone. And all those people that needed those jobs as entry level. And listen, McDonald's, you go in as entry, you become a manager and then hopefully a franchisee. I know a lot of those restaurant corps, they want to promote from within. But now you're not going to promote the robot, So it's kind of a dichotomy of, just the circular of turbulence and uncertainty. And I'm just hoping that things will change for the better. But you know what? I just got it. You know what? I tell people, look, don't surround yourself with negativity. Don't buy into all the stuff. Put your blinders on, control what you
Mhm.
can do, stay positive, and what's going to happen is going to happen. Just like the weathermen. They got the best job in the world. 50% it's partly sunny, 50% it's partly cloudy. I mean, I'm batting 500. That's the job that I want. But when you're on a construction site, you don't know what's going to happen day in and day out. And having that coverage there and the right coverage just can have you be able to, sleep at night. Am I right on that too?
You're absolutely right. And having the right people. You have to have the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but like I said, I watch the news, and these guys, they talk, and I've got certain people that I like to listen to, and they're not in the know. They're just common sense people. But California, it's taken the hit. It just has. And but what a beautiful place. Love SoCal, like North Cal. I mean, California, man, what an amazing state. You can surf and ski in the same day. Where can you do that in the country? You can't do it in Colorado because there's no ocean. The Cherry Creek Reservoir is just not doing it. But in California, you can, and it is the golden state. And but like it, like most, like everybody had to kind of become flexible, be able to turn on a dime. And I just think over the last couple of years, people learned more about their companies, more about themselves. They learned that there was more to life than just work. And now, it's an election year, so people are kind of just in a holding pattern. Um, and I get people every day, hey, what are you going to do? Are you going to bring your event back? This and that. And I said, I'm just waiting for the election to go over because I don't know what's going to happen. If the good guys win, hey, things could be great. If the bad guys wins, and there are bad guys out there, I hate to say it in politics, and if they win, all bets are off. I have no idea what's going to happen. So I'm just not. I'm just one of those kind of, And this year I was building a house. I told my wife, I go, look, we're going to build a house. I'm going out once a month for my reception. I'm coming back, and we're going to play superintendents every day, and make sure things work. And but I had a conversation yesterday with one of my clients. I said, yeah, if I bring my event back, but guess what? Hotels are more expensive, food's more expensive, travel's more expensive. If I'm going to do that, I have to pass that increase of cost onto the supplier. So you go, oh, they'll understand that. I said, yeah, but I was always much more affordable than all these big shows and how expensive they were. We had really nice events. We always did them in nice hotels, and we had a good crowd. But it's 25 to 40% more money that people have to shell out in budget, and they can't do everything. So I just said, you know what? I'll keep you in mind, and I always like doing my event in January to be the first one out, but I just, I'm in a waiting game right now, and I just thought that was the best way to go into 2024. And I took a sabbatical last year too. I went into digital classes.
Mhm.
I launched my digital agency. I learned TikTok, Facebook, SEO.
That's awesome.
I got Microsoft and Google certified, and I'm building websites now. And I'm a hybrid publisher. It's crazy, but never had more fun in my life. The day you stop learning is the day you should go do something else. And I have fun every day. I just do. And it's the wild wild web. There's in digital, all this stuff that's out there with technology, AI, and how it's affecting every construction, surety, insurance, just everything. It's an amazing time to be alive because there's just technology is at warp speed, and everything that I
Mhm.
learned last year, it's obsolete because it's now been improved, and it creates competition, and people find out new ways. And there's so many people I've had on here that said, God, I've had the best years. I learned so much about my business, this and that, like I said before, but they're still standing, and they have that good attitude, and they want to march ahead. But like many, you're less than, I don't know how many days, November 5th is coming here. So we'll know a lot when that happens. So what new products do you see that are coming, in the, workers' comp that are coming down the pipeline that people should be on the lookout for since you're on the front line?
Well, the one main event, it's called the Workers' Compensation Conference. It's a nationwide conference. It's going to be in Vegas, and I'm actually be part of it too. I'm going to be a speaker there along with a vendor of mine. Her company's name is iHealth 360. And we're going to be talking about EMRs, which is experience modification rate, which is this rate that determines workers' comp premium. And we're going to be integrating ergonomics. So how, safety culture, all of that really impacts your premium. Because at the end of the day, if you have a safe culture, run a safe crew, you're going to have the best premium for yourself. And as well, creating great culture. But yes, for events coming up, there's going to be an event in Vegas from October 15 to October 17 at the Mandalay Bay. So that's like the next big uh workers' comp event that's coming up.
All right. Are there any other services, that are, the way that people normally do things, but they're trying to figure out a better way or a smarter way to do things? So is there anything coming down the pipeline, that you see since you're out, like I said, you're out there on the front lines?
Yes. So I am seeing it hasn't been published yet, but I am starting to see now a lot of insurance companies and third-party vendors are starting to use applications on their phone. So in case it's someone gets hurt, they're able to now submit it. So they're trying to get the application now, the app on the phone to talk directly to the insurance company. So that's something that's in the process. It hasn't been like finalized yet. But that is definitely with, when we talk about AI, I definitely am seeing a lot of, oh, not too much actually. The insurance side is a little slower to adopt technology, but for the vendors and for some of the independent brokers, I am starting to see the usage of AI either with being responsive to questions or trying to use AI chat. So when you go online, you have a question to ask about the product, you have someone to refer to, or at least a how-to video.
Yeah. I'm not going to pound on anybody out there, but I write my publisher's column every month, and this month I'm going to write about customer service. And I think
Mhm.
customer service is one of the things that has been hurt in this country. I don't know if it's I don't want to work or I don't want to do this or that, but uh, the whole customer service thing is just not the same. I mean, I'm a million miler on Delta. I've got my bracelet. I've been all over. And when I travel now, it's just not, it's no fun. It's a drag. And people, you look at people and it's just a tube full of cattle and no one's nice. And yeah, listen, there's some nice people out there. Don't get me wrong. Like we're having a nice conversation, but customer service is just you got to have it. And the other thing that bugs me too is like if I go and get a takeout pizza, all right, and I'll put it on my card, they ask me for a tip. Now look, I have no
Oh,
problem with
yes.
tipping people. When did that
Uh,
happen? Because I saw this about 18 months ago. All of a sudden, one by one, all these stores, and they look like with the puppy eyes, like, please, but it's inflation. I understand it. They want, so, you know, if I like at the Chinese restaurant down the street, I always tip this nice lady. She owns it. She's working hard. The food's excellent. It's piping hot. I tip her, but these other guys that they get, they go in there and I'm like, if I'm standing, I one of my YouTubers says, if I'm standing, I'm not tipping. And this guy brought it up like last week about the tips. And I was like, that is so true. Why is it on there? You don't need it. I'm doing takeout. Why do I have to tip on that? And so, but customer service, you can't get anybody on the phone. You got to use the chat bot. And I'm old school. I have no problem using the technology, but I really wish that they would bring X amount of people back. But I understand budgets. Everything's tight. So if you can get it done in automation, that person doesn't need insurance coverage. They don't need FICA. They don't need all that stuff. And it's a budget. It's a line item on an Excel spreadsheet. Or
yeah, I'm with you that I'm going to go a little off tangent here with the working from home. So I think a lot of companies have adopted, especially the insurance side, which I think I have a different view on that because honestly, for me, I feel like people excel better at an office because you're surrounded with the environment. You know what's going on. You have people to depend to. I think maybe half and half could work, but honestly, from what I'm seeing on the insurance, 'cause I struggle on the same side too. So when I'm trying to reach out to the insurance carrier, I'm like, I can never get a hold of anyone. Like, where are you guys? So yes, I feel your struggle about that.
I got rid of my landline. When I was doing my digital stuff, I have a digital number now, and it pings me whenever someone comes to me, on the thing. Anyway, when someone calls me and I pick up my phone, they're like, "Oh my God, you're the publisher. I can't believe I'm talking to you." And I'm like, "Why not? I own the
Hmm.
company. You're talking to the head man here. But I clean I change the toner, I take the trash out, I do proofing, I decide who's going to be on the cover, I edit my videos. I mean, why wouldn't you want to talk to me? And so people freak out when I pick up. I'm like, yeah, I pick up and I try to answer all my emails and that stuff. But it really is crazy with customer service. It's not, I remember when I grew up, you went into to get gas, they washed your windows. Listen, I'm probably older than and so but back then, you were treated like gold. There's only two states, Oregon and New Jersey, where they still fill up your tank. But that was like, even flying, people would get dressed up back in the day and they'd serve you food. Now it's, sit down and, if you sit in the exit row, you're going to be able to get that window open. Okay, you're good. So we'll see you at the end of the flight. But I just think that customer service is getting hurt, and
Hmm.
it's a shame because really customer service is so important, and especially if there's ever an accident, you want to be the first one to be able to have that communication and stuff. And sometimes right now, like I said, with the chat, I don't want to talk to a chat guy. I want to talk to someone on the phone, and so. But I think we're on the same wavelength. But some people are built to work at home. Other people need to be working in the office. And but that's the toughest thing if you're a business owner these days, because if you let your people over the last 3 or 4 years work at home, now they want to go to concerts, go to the beach, they want to go to a sports game, they don't want to go back to the office. So
Hmm.
you got to have that hybrid. Okay, how many days a week do I need this big office? Occupancy rates are down in, office buildings. And I just got a press release this morning. Someone sent me that 15% of the office buildings are renovatable into housing, which is, we need the housing in the apartments anyway. And the biggest issue is an office in a tower only has a couple of bathrooms. So how many, so that's an issue with it because they already have the drywall. But this research report, I don't know how many people were in there, but they were real estate professionals and developers and owners. They said about 15%. So that was a very positive thing. So let's get those things renovated and get some affordable housing out there and get people to get the American dream. But uh, customer service, that's what I'm going to write about this month. So uh, and like you're working from home. I was working at home before, so it didn't bother me. But I know some people they aren't built for. They need that camaraderie around the office and all that. So um, if someone out there in commercial construction coffee talk was thinking about workers' comp, or they were looking at it and they're watching this video, what? Maybe I should talk to this lady. How would someone reach out to you, Rocio?
Yes. So you could reach out to me on my social. So I have a LinkedIn, and you can find me under Rocio Luna, and you could type in, workers' comp claim specialist. I should be the first one to come out. And then on Instagram, I'm also there. So it's Rocio, ROCIO _INS _services. And you can find me there with more. And you can also reach me out via email, which is my first name, ROCIO @Insurax. So that's INSURAX.com. And I will share the rest of my socials with you, David. But I'm pretty primarily just there on Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm slowly starting to grow out my YouTube channel. It's not fully there. My website is under construction, but that should hopefully be out by end of next week.
Sure. Hey, listen, if you're on LinkedIn, that's the where you want to be. That's the business platform where you're going to be able to connect. So if you're out there in commercial construction coffee talk and you're looking for, some answers on some questions, with workers, comp or liability or just general insurance, reach out to this nice lady in SoCal. She'll come back to you and you can figure things out. So uh uh, for me, if someone wants to reach me, you can get me at davidc@ccr-mag.com. Listen, Rocio, her publicist reached out to me and said, "Hey, we need to have this person on here." And we're going back and forth trying to get dates and this, and now we finally had you on. And that's how you get on the show. Listen, I get so much press releases. Don't judge a book by its cover. I always tell you, it's like playing the lottery. If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. If you don't send me something, I can't look at it. Very tough to get in the magazine. But we have all these other social media platforms. I got two nice ladies up in Chicago. They're posting for me every day, and they took that off my plate last year when I did my sabbatical and get my act together digitally. And we look at everything. It could be a charitable golf tournament. It could be a project case study. It could be a topping off of a building, a new product launch. And I also post stuff that's not all construction related. We even have stuff on there how to wear hair extension. I mean, look. There's some guys that think they're girls. They want to wear hair extension, so be it. Now you can do it, or how to buy the right insurance. What's the right phone? What are the right tires to buy for your car? I realized I was just putting construction stuff, but when the shutdown happened, I realized there was so much more to life than just construction. So the bulk of our content is construction. Don't get me wrong, but I have all these other things on there too, Bitcoin, and I kind of dabble in all sorts of stuff. But we're a construction niche. But if you have something, you got to send it to me. And we look at our turnaround times about 24, 48 hours. If we post something, we send you the link. We want you to share it. It's good for your SEO, which is your search engine optimization. That's how Google finds you. And it's a win-win. So send it to us. I'm data addicted. The more data I have, the happier I am. And I look at everything. And we come back to you. You'll freak out. I will come back to you. Myself. I'll email you. So, uh, with that said, if you were going to leave one positive thought or phrase with our listeners before we leave, what would it be as we go into TGIF tomorrow and the weekend?
Positive attitude.
Positive attitude.
Just yeah, just your attitude is everything.
Yeah. One of the things that I learned last year was you can't surround yourself with negative people. They're just
Hmm.
they're just power drainers from you. It's like leaving all your lights on and the air conditioning with your doors open. Negative people, they just suck the life out of you. So
Yeah.
if you've got even if there's someone on your team that's negative, get rid of them. Okay, because your company or your team's gonna be much better. Nothing against that person. They can change, but they need to know it. But negativity, it's just bad. It's like cancer. You got to get rid of it and do whatever you can to get rid of it. Staying positive, it's just one of those things. Every day I run 5 to 6 miles. I've been doing it every day. Almost 8 months. I did my 6 month assessment at the end of June. I ran 1,001 miles in the first six
Wow.
months. And I was supposed to run 1680. I do about 5 to 7 a day. So it's 35 miles a week, 140. It was 1,680 miles. It was from Atlanta to Denver. That's how long it was. So I did 1,001. And so if I kept that up, I'd go over 2,000 miles. And some days I'll run a little further, but every day I go up to the pickleball court and I cool off because my wife doesn't like me bringing in the sweat in the house. And I do a little video. I talk about my day, but I do a positive thought. And here's my thought that I left the other, was it yesterday? Maybe it was the day before. And it said, look, the nicest thing you can do is wear a smile on your face. All right. And when someone sees someone smiling, they're going to gravitate to you. They're not going to gravitate to the person that's melancholy. He's got a frown on his face. He's hating life or whatever. Once again, the nicest thing you can do is wear a smile on your face. It'll get through your day faster, and you're gonna try. And people, they they just come towards people that show that positivity. So stay positive, and that positivity, that is so right on. So, with that said, a couple things before we finish up. Number one, we want everybody to stay safe on the construction site. Okay, we want you to get home, be able to have dinner with your hubby or your wife, your spouse, partner, whatever, your kids. Have a good time, relax, get some REM sleep, and be able to go out and do it again. The next day. Number two, it's still summertime. No matter where you are in the country, it's still hot. And even during the winter, you got to stay hydrated. That's the athlete in me. When you get dehydrated, you get headaches. When you get headaches, you make mistakes, bad passes, or you get injured on the site. So if you're drinking water, put some electrolytes in there. Make sure you drink plenty of liquid and keep your body liquefied. Number one, you're going to have a better appetite. You're not going to, you have less of a chance of getting hurt, and you'll sleep better. So stay liquefied. And last but not least, hit the like button out there. We want everybody to find this YouTube episode and find Rocio's story and find her on LinkedIn or Instagram and get the word out there. So hit that like button. We really appreciate it. And uh, so with that said, uh, Rocio, any final thoughts from SoCal before we sign off?
It's beautiful and sunny over here, but I'm really happy to have you, David. And thank you for having me on your podcast.
Hey, listen, man, the honor was mine. And listen, everybody, it's TGIF tomorrow. So I always tell people finish strong with momentum when you finish the end of the week. Monday's a wind up day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are juice days to me to get everything done. And Friday's a wind down day. And go into the weekend with a smile, positive mindset, relax, have fun. Enjoy yourself, leave it all out there for the weekend, and then get ready to do it all up because you got Labor Day coming up and then one more month of Q3, and then boom, before you know it, man, it's October, November, December, and we're closing this out. The election will be over. We'll all know where we're all going to be, and then we're going to go into 2025, and I'm definitely bullish on that. As far as what the future holds, and if you stay positive, things will work out. don't worry about it because if it rains, you can't control it. And if it's out of your control, there's no sense getting stressed out about it. You're just going to start losing your hearing and make yourself go gray. So with that said, Rocio, say goodbye from SoCal.
Hi, everyone.
And I'm going to sign off from Sugar Hill, about 30 miles north of Atlanta, just below Lake Lanier in the Beaufort Dam. And everybody, have a great Friday and the weekend ahead. And we will see you next time on another episode of Commercial Construction Coffee Talk. And if I get out to LA, in SoCal, I definitely would like to meet you. All right.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. We got a meeting scheduled. So everybody, have a great rest of the day. TGIF tomorrow on the weekend, and we will see you next time. Cheers, everybody.